I analyzed almost every Momoshiki sequence from the entirety of Boruto just to solve the mystery of his disappearance, and what I found will make you more excited for his most awaited comeback. The one behind his story, no matter whether it's Ikemoto or Kishi himself, seems to have planned the hiatus of Momoshiki from the very beginning, which reflects in his prophecy from chapter 10. But that's not all. In chapters like 75 and 79, he reveals a major setup to the next big twist, which could take place after the Shinju saga is over. So on top of predicting his potential return to the story, by analyzing all his statements, we will also explore the other major predictions that he made about some unexpected and unthinkable additions to the story. I'm sure most of you must be unaware of these hints, because I wasn't able to find any suitable matches online. So it seems like I have found a goldmine of Momoshiki lore, and after finishing this video, your anticipation for his return will skyrocket for sure. As for how the analysis would take place, we will break down all his statements from the time of his debut to the final chapter of Boruto Part 1 to unravel the mystery behind his disappearance. In other words, we will try to understand why he has went missing by deciphering all his relevant dialogue. Some additional theories will naturally emerge on the way, meaning that this will be your best Boruto theory video if you are looking for Momoshiki driven stuff. So let's start with chapter 5 of part 1, in which he made his official manga debut, Momoshiki and Kinshiki. While I was pretty assured that his debut chapter won't give me any solid hints for why he went missing, but seems like I was mistaken. Not only did I find a good reason explaining his absence, but also a clever setup to one of Boruto's future abilities. So the chapter opens with chaos erupting in the Chunin exams arena. Momoshiki and Kinshiki crash into the stadium. Their overwhelming presence immediately shifts the tone from competition to survival. Momoshiki declares their intent to harvest chakra from Earth, specifically targeting all the Biju, starting with Naruto, the Jinchuriki of the Ninetales. In one of the panels, he can be seen consuming some special pills to get more stronger. Sasuke explains that these pills are made from the chakra fruit that they use to increase their power and lifespan. Momoshiki says that anyone can use these capsules to acquire true power, but Naruto interrupts him by saying that's not true power. This was a clever way to draw a comparison between Momoshiki and Boruto. Both of them did not like to work hard, with Boruto sorting to scientific ninja tools and Momoshiki using special chakra pills. It's just a theory, but what if the compatibility of them both comes from the similarity in their personalities? Boruto was just like Momoshiki in many aspects. Both display a sense of superiority. For Momoshiki, it was cosmic and absolute, stemming from his Otsutsuki heritage, while Boruto's complex was personal and immature, which emerged from him trying to get out of his father's shadow. Momoshiki's confidence was unshakable, while Boruto's confidence crumbled when he was caught by Naruto for cheating. There are some other obvious similarities, like one seeing strength as a way to gain dominance, while the other seeing it as a shortcut to validation. And the fact that these similarities exist only prove that Momoshiki making him the vessel wasn't a coincidence at all. For some reasons, he landed upon a vessel who was just like him, the only difference being Boruto changed his ways with the passage of time, while Momoshiki remained the same. And this may be the very first moral reason for why the Otsutsuki decided to disappear. After failing to take over Boruto, his dreams and plans were blown away, similar to how his vessel may have felt when he was caught cheating by Naruto. Both started with inflated expectations, with Boruto wanting to win effortlessly, while Momoshiki wanting to dominate the vessel. But after the reality check, which was Naruto's intervention and Boruto's resistance to the Otsutsuki, their overconfidence led to a bitter letdown. But what Boruto did differently was that he accepted the harsh truth, and after he was given the chance to prove himself, he wasted no time and went on to the mission to save his father from Momoshiki. But the Otsutsuki, on the other hand, couldn't accept the fact that he has no way left of hijacking his vessel, so he resorted to silence, deep within the conscience of Boruto. If the prodigy had done something similar, his story would have ended pretty sooner. He would have become a broken child, unable to face his father after the Chunin exams incident. It's pretty ironic that every bad thing that happened to Boruto was a direct outcome of him appearing to fight Momoshiki. In a nutshell, the Otsutsuki's nature of not changing with the circumstances could be one of the reasons for him going mute in the time skip. Now, as for the new ability of Boruto, the pills of Momoshiki gave me a crazy idea, which could turn out as one of the biggest plot twists of the story. So you all must be familiar with how stubborn Kawaki is when it comes to his goals and vision. He will not release Naruto from his dimension unless the world is safe enough for him to live again, which refers to the elimination of all the threats like Code, the Shinju, and even Boruto for some reasons. While it can be said that he only included Boruto to the list due to his blind hatred for Otsutsuki, the flash forward reveals that his fury extends to two more targets, the village of Konoha and the entire Shinobi system. But as we know from the whole shonen dynamics, Boruto will somehow end up victorious against him, which would leave Kawaki with only two choices. Either he will face death, likely through self-destruction, after retrieving everyone from his dimension, or start a redemption journey by protecting the shinobi world from outside threats. However, even if Boruto forgives Kawaki, he won't be able to forgive himself, which leaves us with the possibility of him trying to end himself. Now this is where the theory kicks in. As I said before, Momoshiki used these pills to power up himself in chapter 5, and their source was likely some chakra fruit. This means the Otsuzukis hold some power to convert chakra fruits into small edible material. What's even incredible is that they can change themselves into chakra fruit in order for someone to consume it and obtain their powers. It was chapter 7 of part 1 when we saw this phenomenon for the very first time, with Kinshiki willingly sacrificing himself to let Momoshiki evolve. So what if Kawaki does something similar to redeem himself of his sins? He could simply turn himself into a chakra fruit that Boruto would consume, transferring all his powers and abilities as well. The fact that they both are Otsuzukis makes this a possible scenario. Now the question that remains is that how likely is it for Kawaki to play the Kinshiki card? Well, there are several reasons for him to make this kind of move, starting with the biggest one. You must be familiar with the theories about Boruto somehow being related to Shibai Otsutsuki. The horn, the right eye and the techniques, everything hints at the same. And since these theories hold a lot of merit, what if Boruto actually ends up obtaining all the powers of mortal Shibai? This means he should somehow awaken Kokugan in his left eye to become a look-alike of the Otsutsuki god. The only way for him to achieve this is to absorb Kawaki, which can only happen if he transforms into a chakra fruit just like Kinshiki. Not just that, Momoshiki said, "Let me show you how my clan does it," before absorbing his partner. So what if it's a tradition among the Otsuzukis to absorb their fellow companion once the situation gets too hard to deal with? Looking at how Boruto needed the help of Kawaki's new transformation to get rid of Jura, I won't be surprised if Kawaki ends up transferring all his powers to him for the sake of the shinobi world. The next thing that I noticed while reading this chapter also points at Momoshiki's incompetence, something that may have driven him completely silent and wordless. He said to Naruto that even after possessing so much power, there is no way for him to pass it down to the next generation. This came quickly after he peeked into the fate of the father-son duo, and after seeing Boruto he stated that he is burdened with an interesting fate. But the point of focus here should be the prediction that he made about Kurama's power, which turned out to be false. Back when the Nine-Tailed sacrificed himself to activate the Baryon mode, everyone thought that what Momoshiki said has come true. Kurama could not pass down his power to the next generation. The same thing happened to his Blue Eyes prophecy from chapter 10. Even though Boruto lost everything that he had gained over the years due to the Blue Eyes of Aida, but the twist came when his other prediction from chapter 71, in which he revealed that he intends to take control of Boruto's body, never actually came true. Not just that, Momoshiki took another big L when Kurama was reborn inside Himawari. It was a straight up disgrace to his credibility as a prophecy teller. His variant of future sight seems like a much weaker version of the actual prescience which is used by Kashin Koji. The complete failure of his prophecies likely took a heavy toll on his sense of self-worth, judging by the fact that he was too proud of his Otsutsuki heritage and people like Boruto were nothing more than inferior creatures to him. So here comes another mind-blowing theory based on Momoshiki's prophetic miscalculations. You must have seen how Naruto and Hinata have been literally mummified inside Kawaki's dimension. There is no way for them to train and get stronger, a theory which was pretty popular during the 3-month break before the time skip. Now even though Naruto cannot come back stronger, unlike Sasuke who has a chance to return with his new arm as well as the Rinnegan, you can watch my last video to find out more on that. But what if Momoshiki is training within the conscience of Boruto to improve his power of future sight? The first hint to back this possibility comes from chapter 10, where the Otsutsuki says to Boruto that even though he cannot see his own fate, for some reasons he can see the fate of his vessel pretty clearly. So what exactly do you think would have stopped him from seeing his own fate? You can argue that even Kashin Koji hasn't been shown to see his own future, but I think it's only about time when he would be able to see his fate as well. The reason I think so is because Boruto back in chapter 75 was able to see the day of omnipotence himself, and before you tell me it was Momoshiki who showed him the vision, well, he still saw the visions by himself, meaning that he did see his own future. The fact that Momoshiki cannot see his destiny through the future sight is likely because he never bothered to train his Shinjutsu. It's an art which takes years of training to master, explaining why Kashin Koji's prescience is perfected. It was obtained directly through the remains of Shibai, who must have trained his Shinjutsu for centuries, on top of evolving his powers with every chakra fruit. Momoshiki on the other hand was a carefree entity just like Boruto, and since there was no race in the universe which could have posed a danger to him, he never actually bothered to work on his Shinjutsu at first place. This explains why why all his prophecies failed one after another, he simply wasn't the best at using his powers. In chapter 72, he said Boruto will forever dwell in a corner of his psyche once he would succeed at taking him over. But since that never happened, what if he is now using his mental space to train his Shinjutsu? In chapter 75, he revealed that he has the knowledge of every divine technique, which can be taken as a reference for him having the knowledge to hone his abilities as well. Now this is where it all gets interesting. I believe Momoshiki's life is in contrast to Boruto in one way or another. The reason being the realization that he must have went through after losing on his biggest gamble. In chapter 15 of Two Blue Vortex, Boruto said he went through a feeling similar to Momoshiki's takeover during the code fight. This can be taken as a hint for him taking over the body when it was necessary just to protect the vessel from dying, which would have erased his existence altogether. Now the reason he went completely silent, likely to work on his Shinjutsu, could be after witnessing the meeting between Boruto and Kashin Koji. As Koji revealed how the power of prescience works, it may be something that Momoshiki had little knowledge about, cause this power directly originates from Shibai or Suzuki, and the future sight wielded by Momoshiki could be just a fragment of true prescience. So after gaining some in-depth knowledge about the true nature of this ability, Momoshiki could have begun to train hard within the conscience of Boruto without letting any of his thoughts slip away. The fact that Boruto hasn't heard any word from the Osatsuki all these years only proves that he was completely in control of connecting and disconnecting with the vessel's mind at will. This means he was clearly lying when he said that his thoughts are unintentionally leaking into his mind, cause if that was the case, then Boruto would have been aware of what he's up to. Now the question remains, what exactly would Momoshiki do after evolving his power of future sight? It's still hard to control based on all the odds involved. Also, there's another person playing 4D chess who's on Boruto's side, so does he even hold a chance to take control of his vessel's body after unlocking true prescience? Well, I think the answer might be a yes, cause it would be a big brain move, and looking at all the knowledge of Momoshiki about Shinjutsu, I don't think it would take him any time to figure out his next major move. After all, he's the only pure Osatsuki in the story right now. Everyone else is just either using their powers or simply unnatural, so he must have a bigger plan in mind, especially if it has something to do with the power of seeing multiple futures. Like imagine Momoshiki abruptly appearing to make a prediction about something that Kashin Koji had already given his word about. It might involve the life of another person, maybe someone close to Boruto, and after Momoshiki makes the fortune teller appear less credible, he could then tell Boruto about the darkest future, an inevitable point that even the power of prescience will not be able to change. Or worse, there could be another glimpse of future moment similar to chapter 75, which would cover the events of the flash forward. The idea comes from Momoshiki showing Boruto the day of omnipotence in an attempt to make him lose faith in his fate. Kashin Koji hasn't said anything about Kawaki turning evil, otherwise he would have asked Boruto to get rid of him as soon as possible. Maybe his version of prescience is unable to foresee that event, but Momoshiki on the other hand, who's likely improving this power within the consciousness of Boruto, could end up showing him the worst future to drive him more hopeless. The way Kawaki changed his decision to kill Boruto in the future could be a hint to Momoshiki learning to completely erase his chakra signature in a way that even other Osatsuki cannot detect him. But looking at how even the Shinju did not sense his presence from Boruto, it could be that both the individuals have fused completely, meaning they both are now a singular existence. The next video will cover this evolution of Momoshiki on top of covering more hints for his other major appearances. Till then, you can check out these videos for more amazing stuff. I will see you next time.